What do you do when you become a Muslim? You change your name. And what kind of name do you take on? You don't take on an African name, you take on an Arabic name because Arabic names are holy. They're better than, they are superior to African names or any other names. You see how they're glorifying and deifying their culture? Where is the Holy Land? In Mecca. Again, you have to hop on a plane and fly across your sacred land, that continent of Africa, into a place where people stole and borrowed and finagled stuff from you to go over and spend all your money to do it. And that's another piece about this, the capitalism that is involved with this. When you, as a Christian, go to Jerusalem, the Holy Land, as it were, you pay. What airline do you fly on? You fly on one of the Israeli airlines. You're paying money for that. When you get there, you're living in the hotels there. When you eat, you're going to be eating at their restaurants. You're going to be buying souvenirs from them. They're going to clean up. It's an economic thing for them, but we can't see it. And we have millions of people going there, millions of our people going there over time. The same thing with Mecca. You're going to fly Arab airline, live in Arab hotels, eat Arab food is at their restaurants. You're going to buy their souvenirs. You're going to drop lots of money in those places. And to get there, remember, you flew over Africa to get there. I don't want to belittle this point, but I do, and I will be coming back to it. And I'm sure that you will have questions. And I invite you to bring the questions, bring the hard questions on this subject. And I know that it's not an easy one, but it is something that happened to us. We must understand that when we were kidnapped and brought to a foreign land, we already had our religion, and it wasn't Islam. Think about this, and this is why this is important, because I want to give you perspective. African people are the first people on the planet and the only people on the planet for thousands and thousands of years before anybody else showed up. Did we not have some conceptualization of divinity, the universe? Because remember, Muhammad, the founder of Islam, only showed up in the 6th century, around 600. I forget his exact birth date, but somewhere around in 600. And the religion didn't start then. He didn't develop it until he was an adult. So it's a very, very late religion. To say that African people, and you'll hear people say, Islam is the original religion of the black man. How ridiculous of a statement. See, that's why it's important to understand our history. Because once you understand it, when you hear someone say something like that, you can't even have a conversation with them because they their whole perception is warped. They don't have an understanding of history. If they're willing and open to hear it, yes. Now, what I'm doing now, you're going to see a slight transition of how this course is going to go. See, what we're dealing with is not just history, dates, and facts. We're dealing with the psychological impairment that happened to our people. And so I'm going to be speaking to you personally. And I want you to speak back to me personally. Don't hold back. And so that will be the beginning for you. You may not see it now, you may not know it, but trust me, this is not theory, this is not belief, this is no. I'm not talking about, and I will not be talking about stuff that I believe, because you can believe anything. Belief means that you don't know. You don't know. I believe, I believe. So that means you don't know. What I'm providing you here is what I know. And you will have to take the steps, the journey to that place of knowing yourself. And one of the epithets that the Kemetic people, which you know as Egyptians, had is, man, know thyself. Know who you are. And this is the first concept of humanity, of our humanity. The question is, who are you? And we're going to be coming back to that. And I'll deal with it more when we get into, if you are sticking around for the spiritual components connected to this. So for right now, we want to remember this white God doctrine. We want to analyze it. We want it to be in our consciousness of where we are aware of it. And and what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my experience, and it's the experience all across the board of Christendom. You go to church, you go to Sunday school, and what do they have for in Sunday school? They have these little books, and what they have is pictures. They have pictures of all white people, all white children. Who printed the material? A white company that the black church is paying for this material. We don't even print our own material in the black church. We let white people print the material because they know what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. You see, this concept of this is, again, why we start with racism and white supremacy, because it helps you to see through the maze. It helps you to see through the fog. It helps to burn the fog away. In so many areas, things will be revealed to you. Once the fog is dispelled, you have clarity. And on this particular concept, and I'm going to come back to it again, I don't want to belittle it too much right here, but the White God Doctrine. See, white people knew, or they know that the psychological, well, maybe they don't know. It means I'm not giving them that much credit. But ironically, it worked out in their favor. They took their God with them to foreign lands when they were so-called exploring. Now let's imagine if Chinese people had done the same thing. Well, I can't use Chinese people because they don't have a concept of God in their original language. Let's say Japanese people. They went and they conquered the world, and they took with them the Shintoism and the images of Shintoism that they have, and they gave that to Europeans and the Africans and so forth. We would be looking at not a white God, but a Japanese God. Because people who conquer people They want them to take on their way of life so that they identify with them. And once they identify with them, when you come along and talk about their true identity, they are confused. And thus, we have a cultural identity crisis. Because of this, this is not the only thing, but it's a central piece of why we are confused about who we are. I'm going to give you a real short experiment to do. You can do it with family, friends. You can go on TikTok or anywhere. And everywhere you go, when you watch, you listen to black people talk, they're going to be talking something about religion or spirituality. They can't do otherwise. And on this point, they're usually following someone else's religion.